Blockout and Breakdown is a surprisingly good early example of what, as you know by now, I call near-beer arcade ports in the Odyssey 2 library. Blockout and Breakdown, obviously, you just switch a few syllables around and you arrive at Breakout, which is obviously what this game is in the Odyssey 2 library. It's the Odyssey 2 version of Breakout, but the lengths that it goes to differentiate itself are pretty stunning. It really is a completely different game. They can't get sued by Atari for this one. Alright, Blockout. Press 0 and then press 1. You press 0... and it will take you to a demo screen. It has an attract mode, which is really unusual for an Odyssey 2 game. It shows you basically what you'll be doing if you press 1. And then once it clears the screen, it will show you what you'll be doing if you press 2. I'm going to press 1, and the game is Blockout. You have a few moments before things go haywire. You have a grace period while the computer waits. Oh, my little guys are dying. The basic premise of Blockout is that you are controlling a bunch of little Odyssey 2 men, which are integrated into the brick layers that you know so well from Breakout. Taking each little Odyssey man to the edge of the screen charges him up. He begins flashing red and white. I lost. The Odyssey 2 men can only recharge by touching either the left or right side of the screen. Once they are charged up, they can go to a hole that has been knocked in that layer of color, you know, that layer of bricks, and they repair it. They are then uncharged, and they have to go back to recharge before they can conduct further repairs. You start the game manning the repair robots, I'm sure in keeping with the robot-controlled spaceship in UFO. I'm sure these are robots and not actual people dying. My gosh, that would be terrible. You have to keep in mind that the whole controversy over the Exidy arcade game Death Race had happened by this point. And, you know, any allusion to actual loss of life in the video game world was frowned upon at this point. So, yeah, of course they're all robots. I seem to remember the same was true of the very early anime series Battle of the Planets, which was based on the Japanese animated series Gatchaman. In Gatchaman, oh man, people died. They bit it by the dozens in these horrible terrorist attacks using mecha and, you know, giant bioengineered creatures to terrorize major population centers. But of course, the fun thing about it was, in Battle of the Planets, once they did the English dub, they edited a lot of that stuff out. And then whenever they rewrote and translated and redubbed the episodes, oh, you know, those guys who died, oh, those were service robots, even though they looked like people dressed for a day at the office. I'm letting the Odyssey actually run its attract mode here. So basically, in Blockout and Breakdown, the thing that differentiates this from Breakout is that one player, or the computer, can control this little army of robots. There are 4 layers of bricks. There is a robot built into each. If the block that the robot is in is hit while the robot is not charged, the robot will fall to its robotic death, whatever that would be for a robot. it gets scrapped, basically. And you have these little Odyssey 2 men plunging to their deaths off the bottom of the screen. At that point, the player controlling the paddle can wreak unlimited havoc until a new robot is built, which usually just means that the player controlling the robots has to wait several seconds before there is a new robot available. Breakdown operates on the same principle, except that it's more like Super Breakout in that your projectiles plow through multiple layers of bricks at once. It is a much more brutal game. A well-timed, well-aimed shot can take out the whole robot repair army in one go. It's a neat little game. It's great if you have two players. It's great if you have two players who can relentlessly trash talk each other. This is a game that is very good about that. It is very good at inducing trash talk. And that's Blockout and Breakdown. It sounds exceedingly simple. I'm probably making it sound so simple that you're thinking, okay, what's the big deal? This is very much like Smithereens. Smithereens is one of my go-to party games on the Odyssey 2. And the thing about Smithereens is it too is exceedingly simple. But you get two players who are really into it, and it is a blast. Blockout and Breakdown is really the same way. And it may well be the earliest title in the Odyssey 2 library that is compelling in that way with the right couple of players.